Welcome back to another short film in this adventure of mine to just share what I've worked on. This next film that I'm about to share with you is called A Night Out. I first titled it Aloof, and it was like Aloof, A Night Out. I wanted Aloof to be like kind of just a series of short films about this character named David, who is I wrote specifically for the wonderful and the very talented David Brown, who you will see in the film. If you haven't seen the film, I would suggest go watching it, and then you can come back to this kind of commentary on it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So originally in the script, it just started out right where we first see David, and I feel like I needed to give a little bit more context to what was going on and to the final punchline at the end of the film. And so that's why I decided to do this like text bubble thing, and I just did it in Premiere. At the time, I wasn't trying to like make it too like techy. Like you see a lot of that text bubble stuff today on social media. I just needed something quick and dirty, I think. For the sound design, that was all me. It's not very good because it was all me. And I was very much inspired by Scott Pilgrim for this. I was very much inspired by Clerks for this. And so trying to mesh those two vibes, which one is like, you know, highly stylized and one is like doing what you got to do stylized. Trying to find that balance and mix probably didn't sell that well. But yeah, so that's like where the inspiration for like sound design and a whole bunch of weird random sound effects that aren't really blended in well. So in this scene we have David Brown in the checkered shirt and my buddy Kyle Reinen in the black jacket. And both these dudes are just some of the coolest guys to work with. They're both just great men to have conversations with, to pick their brain, very smart, very genuine people. And this is the kind of thing that I want to tap back into, is like, I just love these two guys. Like they're just wonderful people and wonderful people to collaborate with. And so to be able to just like, hey, I wrote this scene for you. I wrote this character for you. I want you to be in this. Like I want to make with you. I want to create with you. It's such a like special feeling just to like have your friends on set and do something fun, you know? And so, yeah, they're both such talented actors. I wish I could put them into everything I make. I think they're wonderful. And Kyle's like not even like an actor pursuing acting. He's just a buddy who's like super charismatic and can, you know, he definitely can act. He knows what he's doing, but he's not like pursuing that as a career. And so maybe we can get him onto a set again. This is Desiree, a friend from Spring Arbor University. She is someone who is just super sweet. In real life, she's also very sassy. We would have a lot of fun on campus. We did theater together. We did a bunch of plays together. We had a bunch of classes together because we both were communications majors when I was attending Spring Arbor. She is doing pretty well for herself on TikTok, if you want to go follow Desiree. She's a great actress. I was always impressed by what she did on stage, and she was perfect for this role of being like just this really like sweet and chatty woman behind the counter that, you know, David goes to school with. And that's kind of like the, you know, the implications of their conversation is that like, hey, you know, we go to school together, you know, I'm a student. This is Michael Lapierre. He's another Spring Arbor alumni. There are just so many talented friends that you make at college. You know, there's just so many talented people that you surround yourself with that it's like you see them perform and it's like, man, it's like they're just so good. Everyone in this short is so good and so talented. They both just nail this kind of like this like snark, this attitude towards each other, David and Michael. And so I wanted this to be kind of like just like kind of a tit for tat kind of like confrontation of you know, David pointing out the like stupidity of some of, you know, the concessions rules and like what concessions say to people. This shot, unfortunately, is one of my least favorite shots. I just borrowed some posters from a friend of mine who is Kyle Couch, who directed these films, Life Prescribed and 13-1. He is a good director. He actually produced Sons of Thunder, of which I'm very thankful for all of his work. And he's a great filmmaker. He has a movie called The Tent that is enjoyable. And so, yeah, I just hated how those posters looked. They just didn't fit, and you could tell we just slapped them up. And so and then we just put them back into this shot of me. This is my childhood best friend, Anthony Celia. I was really proud of this performance for him. He's someone that is, I had started doing theater in high school, and I was able to convince him to come along. And so it was just fun to have him. He did sound for this film, and also I just knew that he could do this kind of like blow up. We worked really hard to get him to the right place because he knew that it was funny. And so we would be laughing together and being like, like we can't, in the performance, we can't give any notice that like this guy isn't serious about this burrito. So we worked really hard to like both of us not smirk and not smile and just like deliver it as flat and dry as possible so that it really came off real. I love Riley just throws the ticket. Riley Zoet, who's behind Anthony here. Just a minimal, like, he's just there hanging out, a buddy with him. But that just little moment of like flicking the ticket, it's just fun to see when people like improvise like that and just like, adopt a character. It's just fun, again. And Riley, to brag on him too, this was his first time doing art direction. I needed an art director for the film. And he was like, hey, I've never done this before, but I want to help. And I'd be happy to take on this role because this is like one of 2 positions you haven't filled yet. And I'm always about giving people opportunities to try things that they haven't done. Paul Rice hadn't been a DP before on the color game. And I was like, hey, I think you should really DP this, even though there's a dude in this who is a really talented DP and who is always asked to be the DP. I think you should get a fair shot at being the DP. Really, I'm just thankful that Riley decided to just come aboard. We hadn't really like hung out a whole lot. We're friendly at school and joked and stuff, but we actually never really were on set. He just came aboard and killed it. He put posters where we needed to like cover up things, and he put like signage around the theater, and yeah, he was just great. This moment with the burrito, this is like you get one shot at this. We only have one burrito. So we blocked this out, and we practiced it like 3 times before actually practicing it with the burrito, or like doing it with the burrito. We put down a tarp so that the food wouldn't get on the theater floor because we didn't want to make it a mess. So we made sure to take precautions. We put down the tarp. And yeah, when you get a burrito smashed into your chest, it's an authentic reaction you give. So that's all real. Even though I knew it was coming, it's like, wow, a huge burrito was just smashed into my chest. This is surprising, even though I knew it was coming. You'll see me pop up in a lot of these films. I like to act. I started in theater, and I was like, you know what? If anyone gets smashed with the burrito here, I can't make some other person do that. Like, I need to do that. I need to be the one that, like, a mess is made on them. And it was just fun. I love David's delivery of his lines of, just walking up and being kind of awkward, not really knowing what to do. I feel like I would do the same thing. I'd be like, do you need a hand or what? Fun fact, we shot in 2 locations because we had the theater only at night. And while we had it at night, there were janitors around cleaning all the theaters. And so all the lights were on, and they were, vacuuming, and we had to like work around them. They were super generous at the Jackson 10, which is a note coming up later in the film. We actually shot this at Spring Arbor University's amphitheater. And so I had performed on this very stage and had sat in these very seats, watching my other alumni doing plays and theatrical productions. So it was just a good way to like maximize the days. So we spent the afternoons here at Spring Arbor's theater, and then at night we would go over to the movie theater, Jackson 10, and film there. It was just a good way of maximizing time. As a filmmaker, you think about those kind of things. Here is Ashton and McKenna. who helped out like last minute. In the original script, these are 2 dudes, and then I was like, this is pretty like dude heavy film, I should probably include some women. And so McKenna, I had no idea, had acting experience. Somebody just recommended her. Actually, Kyle Reinen, who was in the earlier part of the film, he helped me out, and he asked McKenna for me, and McKenna killed it. I didn't know that she had acting chops heading into this film, so I was like, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, she did so good. And then Ashton, of course, is a great talent. You know, she's pursuing some singing right now on TikTok and around Metro Detroit. So I went to David. David Brown, again, fantastic actor and a great writer. He's a great writer. And he did a lot of writing in college. And so I went to him and I was like, hey man, like I just don't, like what I have written for this part just isn't convincing to me. I don't know what to like, you know, have this dude say at this big blow up moment where he like blows up on these 2 chicks. So he just wrote that the night before we started shooting. We shot this like 2 days into the shoot or 3. And he's like, hey, what do you think about this? And he just says it. He just says it very plainly and like very monotone, like, the reason why you don't respect the screen is because Jennifer Lawrence, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's fun. Let's do it. And so when we got to set, it was my first time really seeing him like blow up with it. And it just worked so well. You know, it gives more depth to this guy of like, oh, this is like an artsy dude. He's into film. He's into, you know, kind of like current events. He's pretty cynical. And so like there's just things that you can tell about him just by what he's saying. And so I just, you know, gave this character some more depth. And again, David just nails it. And he's like so annoyed and so frustrated. I love just seeing David perform. He's so good. Yeah, I think the sound effects are a bit much. Now looking back, again, super influenced by like Scott Pilgrim and Edgar Wright's work. I think it just needs to be more motivated by what's in the scene versus just like kind of emotional things, emotional concept. Again, I needed to be the one who got their face splattered with Coke. And Riley was so concerned. Like he didn't feel good because I was like, dude, just splash me with water so I just have it on me and so it looks like the effect hit me regardless of if he actually does, because you know David's not looking when he throws it. Riley just felt so bad like sprinkling water on me. It's like January and it's freezing, and so he just like splashes water on me and he feels so bad, but it's like this is the scene, this is what it calls for, and I knew this is what I was taking on, and this is why I couldn't have anyone else do this role, because you know this just would be torture to somebody else. So I feel like I do a good job of being pissed, so it worked out. So yeah, the big reveal there at the end of the film is that, you know, my character says, I should have worked at the Jackson 15, and David is like, this isn't the Jackson 15, and it turns out to be the Jackson 10. And this character that he's texting is supposed to be Maddie, who Kyle mentions at the beginning of the film. She's a faceless character. She exists outside of the character roster in this film, but that's who he's kind of talking to. And Maddie is Kyle's wife in real life, so that's why we just took the name. So this short film was something I wrote in film school. I pitched to film it as like the thesis project, and the producers who they chose to be, you know, the producers of the thesis project didn't want to do that script. They wanted to do a different one, and their tastes were different than mine. And I said, hey, that's cool. I kind of don't want you guys to do it because I don't know if we would mesh. And I just like, if once I get out of film school, I can produce this and do whatever I want, and like it'll be completely my vision for it. My vision could have used some refinement for sure. I'm happy with how it turned out for what I made it for. It was like $300. I just paid for an Airbnb in Jackson, so guys coming from the west side of Michigan, Grand Rapids, and me and Anthony coming from the east side in Detroit, just meeting in the middle of the state in Jackson. And then we have talent from Spring Arbor and Jackson already there, and that's where the theater is, and that's where Spring Arbor is. So it just made sense. So that's basically all where the budget went to, was for paying for the Airbnb that we all stayed at, which I just always love doing. It just makes the cast and crew feel like family. And, you know, we did that on Sons of Thunder. And then I also paid for meals. And so that was people's only compensation, was like staying in a place for free and having some fun and getting comped meals. Which, you know, everyone was super gracious to do that. And again, we had Kyle O'Merrill on camera being the DP, a buddy of mine, Mark Olson, being there. There are three main pieces that were like influencing this script. Like I mentioned, it would be Clerks, it would be Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and a big influence on this is actually the show Louie. There's this episode of Louie starring Louis C.K. That I just love. It's hilarious. It's so dry and it's like so weird. And Louis has this very like self-deprecating humor. So I was very much influenced by Louis C.K. at the time and his show Louie. That has a lot of my influence into this. And so basically I wanted just to tell a story that was like, when you go to a party and you're just like, dude, let me tell you about the worst night I had ever. Like, you will not believe how terrible my night went. That's this kind of story. It's like there's no real like resolution or resolve. There's no happy ending. It's just kind of like when your buddy's telling you a story at a party and just going through beat by beat of why something sucked. Like, first, didn't have any sauce packet with my ramen. Second, keys were locked out or like locked in the car. Third, had an Uber there. The Uber was super loud. Fourth, I was already running late. Desiree like wasn't like getting that, and she was prohibiting me from getting like to my seat. Third, fourth, fifth, all these like things, all these things, boom, 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 boom. And just to top it all off, all of this could have been avoided if I just went to the right theater. So that's, you know, the ending is that if he had just gone to the right theater, the Jackson 15 instead of the Jackson 10, he could have avoided all of this. And I tried to be like super subtle in this film in terms of the script, in terms of like the details of the script. So like not needing to lay out like the Jackson 15 is a movie theater. And there is also a movie theater called the Jackson 10. I just tried to let the dialogue kind of do that. And unfortunately, I think it was just like a little too subtle. I think that was one of the notes I got. I love everyone that worked on this film. It was a great project. It's fun revisiting these films because, like I said in the other video, I kind of just want to get back to having fun, making fun stuff with fun people and enjoying their time. Film can be very serious. Filmmaking can be very serious and can be very costly, and people's livelihood is dependent on good budgets and things like that. And it's a very collaborative medium, and you want to take your work seriously. But at the same time, we're making movies. We're having fun. Art should be fun. And like, you know, there's tons of opinions on art and like whether it should or shouldn't be this or whatever. But I'm of the philosophy that art should be enjoyable. Whether the enjoyment comes in the making of it or in the completion of it, in some way, shape, or form, in the process, it should be enjoyable. And I, as one who likes to party, would like to enjoy the whole process, especially production, when you're just surrounded by like a bunch of great people. So that is A Night Out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made you laugh. Hope that you rewatch it if you like didn't pick up that he was at the wrong theater the whole time. Maybe rewatching it from that lens can make it a little bit more funnier for you. Stay tuned for the next film. Like I said in the other video, it's kind of like my goal that if I get 1,000 subscribers, I might just release Sons of Thunder on this YouTube channel. So that way I can just engage with the people who have come along and enjoyed my work. And likewise, I can enjoy their work as they post your films in the comments. Share this with a friend. Share this with somebody who likes movies, who likes filmmaking, who likes to laugh, and who likes to be encouraged in their creation process. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.